Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, Josh Sanj, welcome back to the Bodybuilding News Network. We have a interesting conversation for this video, so I do hope you enjoy the content for today. Now, we're going to go ahead and dig into the Sheru Classic France. It did recap this past weekend, so it is a little bit in the past already, but I thought that there was a very important conversation to be had here, and we can look at the photos here. We can look at the top four after finals, and we have Tim Budishine, Nathan Diasha, Theo Laguerriere, and Roman Fritz in your they ended up being in your top four. But there was a gentleman that was not in this top four, that, as the cats make a lot of boxes fall, the person that was not in that top four was Vlad Alfred Chiric. And a lot of people said that Vlad or Alfred, we'll stick with Alfred. A lot of people said that he was not in this call out, and they don't understand why. And they thought that he was one of the best conditioned people. They thought it was an absolute robbery that he placed fifth, I believe it was, just outside this top four call out. Now, my initial thought here, as we kind of move through these photos here, putting Tim Budishine shot up here, kind of give you some comparison: chest, delts, hamstrings, glutes. Kind of look at all those different parts and kind of make a decision for yourself. But a lot of people thought that he was overlooked, and they don't know why. And my initial thought coming into this video was that he did get completely robbed, because the physique updates coming into the show were so crazy impressive. I thought this guy was definitely of one, maybe two, or a top three competitor for the show. And if Nathan Diasha wasn't in this one, he could have potentially won this show. I think even Xavier over at not RX, shout out to Dave, but Xavier over at Desktop Bodybuilding, he had him in his top 2 prediction. So it definitely wasn't outside the realm of possibility for him to place very well here. But I would say that Roman Fritz looked phenomenal here, and he's continued to look phenomenal in all these shows. And the big conversation, as we will slowly get into it, was Theo Laguerriere. He came in absolutely phenomenal. And I know you can see him in the background in the top 4 picture we started with. He looked great, but I don't think you understand how good he looked. And we'll get into it. I don't think it was a robbery as much as some people were saying. And that's the point of this video. But as Roman just popped up here, kind of giving you an idea of how everyone looked in these shots. Now, I would not have complained if Roman placed above Tim Budishine in this. I would have absolutely not complained. I thought that Roman has consistently looked phenomenal this year. And Tim looks good as well. Very big, very full, and he also brings a great amount of conditioning. The proportions just aren't really there, though. He's very blocky, and it takes away from that aesthetic look where if you look at Alfred Chiric, who's a 212 Olympian before, I swear he won a show when he did 212 and he went to the Olympia. But a former 212 guy coming into the open, he's got a lot of that conditioning, a lot of the fullness and nice crisp look that the 212 brings into the open. And that's why I love when 212 guys move up. But a lot of these shots, Alfred is getting outsized. He's not big enough to compete. And it really does show in the back. I've always said that Roman was kind of small from the back. But the more I see him compete, the more I'm impressed with just how big he is. When you look at him next to Tim Budishine here, and again, the huge issue I have with this show is each athlete only has 5 photos in the NPC News Online Rolodex or the gallery. There's only 5 photos, which really doesn't give commentators and fans an opportunity to really look through the physiques. And it really does open the door for critics to say or to wonder what they're hiding with only using 5 photos. And the comparisons it's only the front double and the front lat. You can't really win, you can't judge a show off 2 shots unless you're talking about the front double and the back double. That's where I could say you could judge it, but I really want you to understand that there's not a lot of photos for this show, and that screams corruption. Now let's move into Theo. Theo looks phenomenal. He was so gosh darn shredded in this show. I absolutely think he earned this second place finish. I know that it is a France show and Theo is French, so there is going to be that desire to make that connection, to make that storyline of some collusion, of some corruption. But I genuinely think that he looked absolutely phenomenal. maybe a little undersized against some of these other guys, but the completeness of his conditioning and the structure and the flow, Roman Fritz is really known for conditioning, but symmetry-wise, he's not as pretty as Theo. And I think that is what gave Theo the nod for this show. At least that's my thoughts here. And I do believe this is the last photo. Last but certainly not least, we can look at this front shot. Again, not a lot of photos to pick from, so you can't just put everyone's front double. We can't run through the mandatories like we typically would. Again, kind of screaming to some corruption, some questionable decisions from the judges, from the photographers. I don't know. It's just my opinion. Let me know down below your thoughts. But this is the final shot. I think Theo looks phenomenal here, but it definitely does leave the door open for some conversation of, was someone overlooked? Did someone get pushed above someone else because of some national politics, some corruption, some collusion? It's really hard to say, but I definitely think that they did leave, I think the Pro League and whoever was in charge of what was going on for this Shuru Classic France left the door open for pundits and critics to question exactly what happened at this show. So that's my thoughts. That's my takeaway. I'm your host on the Bodybuilding News Network, Josh Sanch. Please subscribe. We're trying to get to 10,000 before the Mr. Olympia this year. So if you enjoy this style of content, consider subscribing. That's it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.